Have y'all ever been in a situation where you give someone one job and they can't even do that for you? Well, today that is what we're going to be talking about in these Reddit stories of you're like, "Hey, can you help me out with this?" And the person that you're asking is like, "Nah," or they say yes and then they completely let you down. So today we have a couple of Reddit stories to get through. We got family members, friends, all kind of people letting their loved ones down. If you have ever experienced this, make sure you guys are commenting in the chat your thoughts, your experiences, and let us know what you think. We're going to go ahead and jump right into the stories. Today, we do not have polls going on YouTube because Kimmy is not able to make it, and I'm not able to stream and type all at the same time. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, we won't have a poll, but we will be collecting your thoughts in the comment section so that we can get your opinions on these stories. So let's go ahead and have Bossy B bring us in, and we'll go ahead and jump right into the first story. No need to delay or anything like that. All right, so we got our first story, but we got a little bit of organization issues going on here. So let's get back into it. So our first story is, am I trifling for demanding my kids back immediately after my parents left them with strangers at a campground without telling me? So this story is exactly what we said it is. We gave you one job, watch my kids, and then you turn around and leave them with strangers at a camping site. And then you're going to find out that they didn't even tell their mom what was going on. So let's jump right into it. My parents were watching let me get back into the title for those of you that are just coming in. Am I trifling for demanding my kids back immediately after my parents left them with strangers at a campground without telling me? My parents were watching my kids, 6 male and 7 female, for a few days, Sunday till Wednesday, while my partner and I were working. They were staying with my parents at a camping ground in another city about 75 miles away. On Monday, my dad, the kids' grandpa, had a sudden medical emergency and had to be taken to the hospital. During that time, my mom, the kids' grandma, left our kids in the care of 2 of their camping friends. Let's call them M and S, for about an hour. We learned about the medical situation on Tuesday afternoon. While we received lots of pictures of the kids on Tuesday morning, my mom assured us everything was going to be fine and never mentioned the hospitalization. So we got her dad, who is supposed to be assisting, watching the children in the hospital. Mom does not know that her dad is in the hospital. And I guess they're assuming the grandma has the kids or the kids are at the hospital with them, but they're not letting these people know what's going on with their own kids. Here's the problem. We don't know M and S, and my parents never told us this happened. We only found out over 24 hours later when I started asking specific questions about who was watching the kids during the hospital trip. When I confronted them, they said it was a force majeure situation, assumed we understand. I told them I would have understood if they had told us at the time, but finding out afterward meant that if there had been an emergency, we wouldn't even know who had our kids, which is a very serious concern. Like, if I'm leaving my kids with you and then I have to rush and come get them and I can't find you or my kids, that is a problem. When asked how long our kids were in M&S's care, they kept downplaying it, first saying about an hour, later only 5 minutes at the hospital. How do you go from an hour to 5 minutes? Like, you got to get your lie in order. That don't even make, you're supposed to start with the 5 minutes and go up to the hour. When I told them I wanted the kids back immediately, the emotional pressure started. Don't do this to your kids. They'll be sad and you'll ruin their fun. I told them to stop the emotional blackmail and that we wanted our kids back. You had one job, parents, to watch my kids, and you're not even watching them. They refused at first, saying they'd bring them back the next day as planned. I warned that if they didn't return my kids that night, I would contact the authorities. Only then did they agree, and we picked up our kids that evening from the campground. We don't own a vehicle, so we had to take an Uber to the camping ground, which cost 300 Canadian dollars. Not a problem. My kids' safety are far more important than $300, but it still carves a hole into our budget. Now they say I overreacted and hurt the kids by ending their visit early. From my perspective, they violated a major boundary we had. They violated a major boundary we already discussed in the past and withheld important information from that day. And that is an important point to put out there. They did not tell us that this was something that they discussed previously. So the parents knew that they did not want them leaving their kids with anyone or random people, or I don't know exactly what the discussion they had with the parents, but it seems like the parents at least knew to some extent that they weren't supposed to be leaving the kids behind without letting the parents know what's going on. So OP says, am I trifling for insisting on getting my kids back right away instead of letting them stay one more night? I'm going to say no, because you have boundaries. It sounds like you guys have talked about this before, and your parents decided that they just weren't going to follow the rules that were put into place before. Now, hopefully the kids are okay and nothing happened to them, but we know this is a crazy world these days. You don't know what people are into, if they had plans to hurt the kid or if they would have kidnapped the kids. We don't know what could have happened, right? So I definitely understand the concern. I don't know if it was worth like just ending the trip early, but also her parents, the grandparents, need to have consequences to their action. I don't have kids, so I don't know exactly what I would do. Y'all let me know if y'all had kids, if y'all would agree with this, or if y'all would let your kids stay and then just not let them go back with grandma and grandpa. And for those, if anyone's wondering what happened to the dad actually ended up having a minor heart attack, and that's why he was in the hospital, and he was in there for I think like 3 days. So let's go ahead and jump into the Reddit comments, and then we'll jump into the YouTube comments, and then we'll jump into the next story. So if you guys are watching live, make sure you are hitting the like button and supporting the stream. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, because we love doing these kind of streams. I want to do them more often, but I'm just trying to figure out how to fit them in my schedule with my husband. Okay. Okay. So first comment, not trifling. Even in an emergency, someone should have taken a few minutes to let you know who had your children. Leaving them with strangers has consequences. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. You never know what people are thinking these days. People can be crazy. People can do crazy things to your kids. So I definitely agree with this comment that there are consequences to leaving your kids with people that you don't know. And then we have someone saying, you're trifling, you're trifling. It sounds like they were in a difficult situation with a medical emergency and took reasonable steps to manage the situation and ensure everyone was safe. I agree that they should have been informed immediately, but I don't understand why you got so very upset. It was an emergency and your mom probably had a lot on her mind while dealing with your dad at the hospital. I would be annoyed with my parents if this happened with my kids. I would not be outraged. I would not be removing my kids from their care in a huff. So why did you freak out so much about this? Is it because your parents have a history of being reckless or endangering your kids? Or do you have a tendency to freak out over everything, and that is why you downplayed it after the fact? Only you know the answer to this. This person went in on the mom. I don't know why they went so hard against her. Somebody agrees with this. OP either trusts her parents or she doesn't. If she doesn't, then she shouldn't be using them as free childcare while her and her spouse are working. This seems like an extreme overreaction, especially given her dad had a medical emergency. It sounds like the kids were camping with the parents and our friends, so their friends already being around the kids while camping. Again, you either trust them or you don't, in which case they shouldn't have been with them in the first place just so OP can work. OP blew this way out of proportion, and it isn't likely to get free childcare in the future. So yes, OP is trifling here. So we have a situation where the comments are kind of split. Normally, when we have these stories, people are pretty much on the same side through in and throughout, right? But in this one, they're like, no, OP, you're the problem. And then we got some people saying, no, OP, you're not a problem. I'm gonna read one more Reddit comment, and then we'll jump into the YouTube comments. So if you have thoughts and you're watching live, make sure you are dropping them in the chat. And if you're watching on the replay, of course, drop that in the comment section. Same for the people over on TikTok. Okay. So next comment says, okay. So we got more people. We got more people saying that OP is the a-hole here, or the trifling one here. They didn't leave the kids with strangers. They left them with friends for an hour during an emergency, threatening to contact the authorities at a time when you knew this. The kids were absolutely fine. It's so crazy over the top that it defies belief. I don't know if they actually confirmed that it was actually only an hour. I could have missed it while I was reading, and I read this before the stream, and I don't remember them ever naming a time. So if y'all caught that, while I was reading, let me know. But yeah, they're saying that OP is overreacting in this situation. And it does seem like they had been updating the mom over time. So why in those updates could she not have, gave her that information? Or maybe the grandma just didn't think that information was important at the time, which I don't know why she wouldn't think that's important for the mom to know who's watching her kids. So let's see what the YouTube comments have to say. We don't have a poll today, so unfortunately we can't vote in the chat, but definitely drop your comments if you have thoughts. We got Lila Wells popping in saying hi, hello, and welcome into the live stream. We got Chelsea B giving us a wave. Hello, welcome in the live stream. Welcome back, both to Lila and to Chelsea. Welcome back. Chelsea B says, not the a-hole. I don't play about my kids either. And for whatever reason, some of the people in the comments said no. Like I said, I don't have kids, so I don't know if I would immediately pick them up or not. I feel like I would know my parents' friends though too. But I can definitely see where OP is coming from and being like, oh, I have to get my kids. But I mean, after 24 hours, I guess to ensure that it didn't happen again and there was like one more day left with spending with the grandparents, I can see with going to pick them up. But I don't know. I don't know. If it was really an hour, like that commenter said, I don't know if it will be a super big deal. But of course, like I said, I don't have kids. So I'm going to go with what Chelsea B is saying in that, yeah, I'm going to go get my kids if this was the situation. Or most people, and people are entitled to it, right? They're your kids. You can do what you want. Your grandma and grandpa can't just do what they want without telling mom and dad what's going on. And it sounds like OP would have been okay with it had her mom and dad communicated with her what was going on. So thank you for commenting on that. Let's go ahead and jump into the next story. We got, am I trifling for refusing to give up my aisle seat on a 6-hour flight to a mom who wanted to sit next to her teen son? Now, normally we see situations like this when the child is younger, maybe like 4 or 5, but this one is a teenage child and this woman is getting mad. And this story relates to our topic of letting people down because this mom is sitting in this seat next to this woman and she wants to sit next to her son. And she's hoping that there's going to be a polite stranger next to her that is going to be willing to switch seats with her. And there's a lot of controversy on switching airplane seats. I don't know why this lady is trying it, but she's trying it. She's trying it. So am I trifling for refusing to give up my aisle seat on a 6-hour flight to a mom who wanted to sit next to her teen son? I, 31 female, travel a lot for work and always book an aisle seat because I get claustrophobic. Last week, I was flying from Boston to LAX, about a 6-hour flight. I booked my ticket 2 months ago and even paid extra to choose the seat in advance. When I boarded, a woman in her late 40s was in the middle seat next to mine, and her 15-year-old son was in the row directly across the aisle. As soon as I sat down and she asked if I would be willing to swap with him so she could sit next to him. I would imagine that the teenager does not want to sit next to his mom, but the mom wants to sit next to the teenager. So let's keep going. I asked where his seat was, and it turned out to be the middle seat in the row across. I politely declined, explaining I paid for the aisle because I get anxious and need extra space. She got annoyed and said it was just a seat and that he was her son and I could survive in the middle for a few hours. And you can survive a few hours with not sitting next to your son. He's a teenager, not a baby. Like, you can literally let your son sit where your son is sitting. I said no again, and she made a big show of sighing and muttering about selfish travelers. The son didn't seem upset at all. He had headphones in and was already watching something. Throughout the flight, she kept making little comments loud enough for me to hear, like some people don't understand what it's like to be a mother. Mothers don't understand what it's like to book your tickets together with your kid. If you want to sit next to your kid, but you book your ticket with your kid. And like I said, this is not a little kid. This is not a kid with special needs. This is your teenage son that is in his own zone already. Leave this lady alone. Like, why are you being overbearing? Your son was probably happy not to be sitting next to you because you sound like you're out of control. When we landed, a guy in the row behind us told me I should have just switched to be nice because families should sit together. My coworker thinks I did nothing wrong and that people need to stop expecting strangers to fix bad seating arrangements. So, am I trifling for not switching? I would say no. Like you said, you paid for that seat. You paid to sit in the aisle. You booked your trip in advance. If mom was late booking, that's mom's issue. But also, I don't feel any sympathy. I feel like if it was a little kid, I probably wouldn't move either. Because I'm not sitting in the middle for anyone. Ask someone else to do it. Why didn't you ask whoever was sitting next to the son to move? Yeah, you wanted this lady to move because you felt like you can bully her. Your son wasn't going to ask the person next to them. And again, your son probably didn't even want to sit next to you. But I don't know. When you're on a flight, especially a 6-hour flight, it's very important to be comfortable. Like you probably would have been a lot more willing to move if it was a 2-year-old and you don't want the 2-year-old bumping into you and making everybody else uncomfortable. That's a different story. But a 16-year-old that is probably the size of all the adults that are already there sitting along by himself, like let him be. I don't know. I wouldn't give up my seat. So I'm going to say, no, you're not trifling for that. I'm going to jump into the Reddit comments and then I'll come over to YouTube comments. So if you have thoughts, let us know in the chat because we would like to know them. So let me get the comments pulled up first of all. Let's see what the Reddit comments had to say. First commenter says, no, you planned in advance and paid extra for your seat. Anyone who thinks you should have given it up is an idiot. Yeah, I would probably go as far as to say an idiot. I think it does get a little bit more complicated when they're younger children or maybe like special needs children. But at the same time, I don't think you should have to give up your seat. I think that the flight crew should try to find someone who is willing to give up their seat rather than, oh, since you're sitting next to me, you need to get up and give me your seat. No, I don't want to. Find somebody else to do it. That's what I'm like. Find someone else to do it or book a different flight where y'all can sit together. Not my problem. The OP responds and says, right, not shelling out extra money just to end up in a cramped middle seat because someone else didn't sort their tickets. Exactly. You shouldn't have to give up what you paid for your hard-earned money in order to accommodate other people. And especially in this situation, it's like, he's a teen. He does not want to sit next to his mom. I don't care what anybody says. He does not want to sit next to her. That's why he has headphones in, so she can't bother him. Oh, gosh. And if he was going to have headphones in and watch something anyways, why do you need to sit next to him? Why? And for the guy behind, he was probably just tired of the mom making all these comments, but there's no way you could think that the mom should have that the OP should have gave up her seat. Someone else comments and says, am I the only one who doesn't mind, kind of preferred, depending on family members, not to sit together on flights? Exactly. The teen probably did not want to sit with her. Her son was probably thrilled to get some space for a few hours. Not trifling. Agreed. OP is very responsive in this thread saying, right, sometimes a little space is the best gift you can give each other on a long flight. I bet the kid was living his best life. Yeah, I think the kid was living his best life too. This mom sounds annoying as can be. Someone else comments and says, no, not trifling. Family can sort their seating out like everyone else if they want to sit together. Exactly. They could have got their seats together if that was really at the top of their list. And she didn't do that, right? So let's see what the YouTube comments have to say. I don't think I see anything coming in on TikTok here. So any comments coming in on TikTok here. So let's see. We got Chelsea B saying there's no way he was in and out in an hour for any kind of heart attack. Oh, you were talking about the other story. I was like, wait a minute. No, I think the dad ended up being in the hospital for a couple of days, but I don't know if the kids were left with the friends for an hour or not. That's what I was talking about. And then we got Chelsea B saying, not trifling. She did that kid a favor. Clearly, yes, because the mom definitely seems very, very overbearing, very overbearing. Thank you, Reese, for sending me a flower. And also commenting, I didn't see your comment at first saying, girl, bye, I would stay in my seat. I would leave too. And that is my line sister. Hey, Carice, welcome to my live stream. Nice to have you, and thank you for the rose. I definitely appreciate it. I'm on YouTube and TikTok, y'all. So if you see me talking to two different cameras here. Okay. So yeah, no, I'm not giving up my seat for this lady. And like I said, I think the teen probably didn't want to sit next to mom anyway. She seems annoying. Seems very, very annoying. Let's see. We got another story. This one is, am I trifling for leaving when I was asked to babysit, forcing my dad's fiance to cancel her plans? Now we got some entitled step parents. Well, we refer to this woman as step parents, and this is a 17-year-old, by the way, and we're going to get into the details of the story. So if you have thoughts, definitely make sure that you are dropping it in the chat and letting me know what you think about it. So, am I trifling for leaving when I was asked to babysit, forcing my dad's fiance to cancel her plans? I, 17 male, lived with my mom until a year ago when her disability got to a point where she was placed in a home like hospice. My dad wasn't ever a big presence in my life. He's still not. I live there, but I need to be self-sufficient and pay for my own stuff and have help from my maternal grandparents to pay for it. It's all kinds of messed up, but he was always this way. His reason for having me here is no child support because he had to pay for 16 years before that. So basically, he's not letting the kid live with his grandparents because he doesn't want to have to pay the grandparents' child support like he was paying the mom child support, which is ridiculous. He doesn't even like the kid, but for whatever reason, he wants him in the house so that he doesn't have to pay child support. My grandparents even promised they wouldn't ask for child support, but he was like, no, and was smug about him being the dad and he'd win over them anyways. I don't think that's true. The kid is 17. I think that the court would let him go where he wanted to go, and they should have took it to court. They should have at least tried, because this dad sounds like he sucks. My dad's engaged to some woman who has a 3-year-old with someone else and a 6-month-old with my dad. I moved in around the same time her and her kid did, and she was pregnant then. I don't know much about her, and I don't spend time around her or the kids. Last Saturday, I had a day off work, and I wasn't planning on doing anything when my dad and her said I needed to babysit the kids because they had stuff going on. How is this my problem? How is this my problem that y'all got stuff going on? I'm off work. I just want to chill, dude. I just want to chill. They're basically like, you can't stay in the house if you're not going to contribute. Like, what is wrong with these people? Dad left first, and she told me she'd be gone for about 6 hours, and she was trying to tell me the schedule stuff for the 6-month-old and the 3-year-old, but I just said no way, and I left the house, as you should. You should not be subjected to watching kids you don't even know. Okay. I didn't have anything planned, but I was not willing to babysit, and I dipped before she could leave. She tried yelling after me, but I kept going and didn't go back to the house until it was late. I think that was the best option for you to do. Dad was back by then, and the two of them started yelling at me, saying I had no right to walk out and leave the kids without a sitter. I pointed out that their mom was home, and they said it wouldn't, and they said it wasn't the And they said that wasn't the point, but I said it was the point, and I did not want to babysit, and I did not have to babysit. I told them I won't ever babysit, so they better find someone from when they need it, because it won't be me, and I will leave every single time, as you should. Just stand up for yourself, and then maybe they won't do it again. Definitely agree with the son at this point. She was trying to guilt trip me about her canceling her plans. And I asked her why it was my problem that she didn't prepare a sitter for her kids before her plans. She even got her sister, who I don't think I met before, come over and tell me I was a bad person, and I took my daddy issues out on her sister and her kids. I rolled my eyes, packed my stuff, and I left after that. I'm hoping he doesn't try taking this to custody court, and he does. And if he does, I hope he gets a date after I turn 18. It's a waste of time. I honestly think if he tried to take you to custody court, they wouldn't be able to do anything because you're 17. You have free will. Usually in most states around 14, they're not forcing you to go anywhere. If you don't want to be there, they're not going to make you be there. So I say leave, go live with your grandparents and have your dad try to fight them to get you back. They're not going to do it, because if they take you out of your grandparents' custody, send you to your dad, and you just keep running away to your grandparents' house, the cops are not going to keep coming to get you. They're probably not going to get you in the first place. You're 17. They're going to say, he'll come back when he's ready. The police are going to be like, yeah, we're not dealing with this. Okay. So am I trifling? Asking because I know she didn't do anything to me and she might have appreciated it or something. I don't know. I feel very bad for OP because it sounds like he's going through a lot with the disability that his mom has, having to move out of his mom's home, wanting to live with his grandparents, but he got this a-hole dad that just wants to keep him so he doesn't have to pay child support. Even though the grandparents are saying, we don't want any child support from you, just let us keep him. He's more comfortable with us, so he should be with us. And the dad is just being an a-hole. So I would suggest, just like OP suggested, maybe y'all should find a babysitter for y'all's kids, because I'm not your babysitter and I will not be your babysitter. And he's probably hoping and can't wait till the moment where he turns 18 and he gets to move out. But like I said, at 17, he could really leave and there's really nothing that the dad can do about it. I don't know why they said the thing about custody court or whatever. Wait, was it a while ago? He said he lived with his mom up until about a year. Even at 16, I think if they would have took him to court, or if he would have just went to go live with the grandparents, the dad wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. So let's see what the comments on Reddit has to say, and then we'll jump into the next story, or the comments on YouTube if anybody has any thoughts on this. Let's see. We got first commenter saying, not trifling. This is why your dad wanted you at home instead of your grandparents. He wanted a built-in babysitter. They are takers and users. Since you're out already, never go back, never give in. Sorry you're going through this. Definitely agree with that comment. Someone responds to that and says, not trifling. If your maternal grandparents are close enough to make sure you keep it, if they're close enough to you, make sure you keep anything you truly want there for safekeeping. He will escalate, and if he does, have your grandparents go to court and explain why you want to live with them. He doesn't want his son. He wants the staff to watch the kids. I would have walked out too. Not calling him staff for babysitting his sibling and then the woman's kid, right? We got another commenter saying, not trifling, pretty convenient. She moved in the same time as you. The perceived built-in babysitter. So everyone thinking that they want a built-in babysitter. That didn't cross my mind when I first read this story. It seemed like it was a little bit of a convenience kind of thing. Like, oh, well, he's off. Which my thing is like, how did they know his schedule and just happened to know he was going to be off that particular weekend? That's kind of messed up, because it sounds like he normally works. Not trifling. Tell them that if they try to leave the kids with you against your will, you will call the police and CPS and declare the kids have been abandoned by them. Leaving kids with an unwilling sitter is considered abandonment by law. Exactly. It is. And like I said, he can leave. He is 17 years old. They're not going to force him to stay there. They're really not. Someone else comments to that and says, this, OP, call the cops on your dad and his fiance. Maybe they'll make up for their bad parenting. Edit, sorry, I meant fiance, not wife. Someone else comments, says, not trifling. I agree with the above, with one exception. Don't tell them, just call CPS. Let them strand you with the children. Call 911. Don't lie to the cops. Tell them you didn't agree to babysit. Tell them you don't know how to take care of an infant. Let them take the kids. These kids will be better off in the system than with these parents. Okay, that's a bit extreme. That is a little bit extreme. They'll be better off in the system than with the parents. He said, someone commented and said, not trifling, the sister can babysit. Yeah, since the sister has so much to say, how about the sister just babysits? That would probably be the better move, for the sister to figure it out and she does the babysitting, since she has so much to freaking say. Let's see what the YouTube comments have to say. We got Chelsea B saying, dad sounds like a real POS. Bad words. Definitely agree. The dad is not, I'm not a fan of the dad. He literally is just trying to cheat the system and not pay child support. He doesn't care about the kid. He doesn't care about the kid's well-being. He doesn't care if the kid even eats. It seems like he lets him sleep there, but that's all it sounds like he's doing for the kid. So, definitely, not a good dad. Not a good dad for sure. Let's go ahead and jump in And we do got a number one commenter. Let's see, who's our number one commenter on YouTube? It's Chelsea B, of course. Chelsea B, thank you for commenting and participating in the live chat. Definitely appreciate you tonight. Let's go ahead and jump into the next story of someone letting them down. He didn't want to babysit these kids. I don't really think he let them down. They kind of tried to force it on him. If anything, they let him down. That's what I would go with. That's what I would go with for sure. Okay. We got a husband this time. And we know how husbands do on Reddit. Not always the best. The husbands are not always doing the best on Reddit. So, am I trifling for expecting my husband to sleep in our kids' room? The title kind of sounds like the mom might be the trifling one, but let's see. Am I trifling for expecting my husband to sleep in our kids' room? I, 36 female, have handled kids through the night for 15 years. I have 2 kids from before. My now husband, 31 male, had 2 kids, and we have 2 together. We got together when my youngest was 2 and his youngest was 3 in 2018. I've never had good sleepers. My 2 oldest are diagnosed with ADHD, and I know my 4-year-old will be. Since my firstborn, I've woken up many times a night to handle the kids. In 2020, I became pregnant with my son, with my husband, and became a stay-at-home mom due to COVID. I began sleeping separately from him due to different sleep patterns, moving into the room with my older son and newborn. My husband had his own room, bed, gaming computer, collectibles, his bachelor pad. He sounds like a child. He definitely sounds like a child. Later, our baby and I moved into another room, bed sharing. My husband still had his own room. In 2022, I became pregnant with our daughter. Again, I was in a room with my toddler and baby, him still in his own room. Are you guys even married at this point? Or are you just like his built-in babysitter like that guy? By 2024, we had to split our teen girls into 2 separate rooms, which put my husband, me, and our 2 toddlers in one room. He didn't want to lose his space, so we built a false wall, half of his gaming/collectibles, and we all shared a big bed. I still handled the kids since he works. He eventually wanted a bed alone with me, so I convinced him to move up. So I convinced him to give up his side and add a bed. Unfortunately, he developed bad snoring. We've tried solutions and he won't follow through on a sleep study. I often kick him out so I can sleep. Dang, this lady is going through it, but this does not sound like a marriage. It doesn't sound like a marriage since 2020. This has been a problem, okay? We've since moved into a bigger home. Our toddlers share a room. 4-year-old sleeps decently. 2-year-old still ends up with me. I haven't had good sleep in 15 years. But you also can't blame him for your other kids because you had 2 kids before him. So you're literally still blaming him for what you had going on before the 4-year-old was born. So I don't know if you can blame him for the whole 15 years. Maybe 5 years. Maybe we can blame him for 5. Okay. I've asked him to sleep in our daughter's bed on work nights so I can rest. He won't. He sometimes sleeps on the couch, but usually stays until I kick him out for snoring. I also have to wake up at 5:15 a.m. to make sure he's up for work, which keeps me up for at least another hour. I struggle with sleep anyways, often lying awake at 4 a.m. from his snoring, seeing no point in falling asleep before alarms go off. Why don't you go sleep on the couch? That might solve things for you. Why don't you remove yourself? Tonight, I was awoken at 3 a.m. after not sleeping until 1 a.m. Still awake at 4:15, knowing 5 a.m. alarms are coming. Am I trifling for expecting him to sleep in our daughter's bed so I don't suffer nightly? Should I be the one? To me, one person in a twin makes more sense than me and a toddler sharing one. So, am I trifling? I would say, I don't know, kind of. I'm kind of, because you can also move yourself. And if your daughter's room is big enough, why don't you just put a bigger bed in there and sleep in there? If he wants you guys to have a room together, like you said, he wanted you guys to join your room together after all these years of living apart, essentially, then he needs to follow through with the sleep study and figure out why he's snoring. So the overall vote here, I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, because I don't really know which way to lean. Is everyone sucks here? I think they do both suck. I think she can also move where she's sleeping, and he can also move where he's sleeping or follow through on the sleep study. So I'm with Reddit. Everyone sucks here. First comment says, I also have to wake up at 5:15 to make sure he's up for work. Aside from all of the rest of the general what the effery here, absolutely what the F is this? That's all I'm saying. Are we roommates? Like, what's going on? Why do you have to wake up at 5:15 a.m. to make sure he's up? Because he's an adult man. He should be waking up. I can't help but feel like you have taken a series of quite deliberate choices over an extended period of time to completely screw yourself over, and now you're sad about the inevitable result. Exactly. I agree. Like, you guys have been living apart since you've been together. Like, what are we talking about here? They go on to say, everyone sucks here. You and he have created an unviable living situation for yourselves through a combination of not having enough space and or having too many children, and by a ridiculous division of responsibilities. I agree. You're right that it doesn't work, but that doesn't get you off the hook. This isn't something he did to you. You did it together. Exactly. I definitely agree with that. Like, you knew this was going on before it actually started going on. And the fact that you turned around, I don't know how you guys had the opportunity to even make another baby because you weren't even sleeping in the same room. So I do agree with this commentary in saying that y'all did this to yourselves, and you can't just blame him because you played a big role in it. Like, why would you have another baby if he's already not helping you with the first baby? Next commenter says, everyone sucks here. You started this. No, you started letting children sleep with you all over the place. Literally, your entire timeline had you sleeping with this one or that one or some of them. They are going in on this OP. Now, I don't have any kids with ADHD, but even puppies can be trained to sleep alone through the night. Not calling anyone's kids puppies, but yes, I feel very bad for the fellow sleep deprived woman. And I also think your husband should do something, literally anything, to help you get some sleep, even if occasionally. But you are mad at him for drawing his own boundaries and sticking to them, which you should have drawn yourself and never did. And she should have drawn her boundaries a long, long time ago. Someone goes on and comments to that and says, I feel like OP uses the kids sleeping as a buffer, although it's not 100 because she keeps winding up pregnant. Yeah, that's what how did y'all even have time to make a baby because you're not even sleeping in the same bed? That sounds like a mess. It sounds like a mess. They go on to say, someone else says, I also have to wake up at 5 a.m. to make sure he's up for work. I'm sorry, what in the actual hell did you just say? Not trifling. I don't even remember what this post was about. All I know is rage. Tell that man to get his stuff together before I ooze through the computer screen like a horror monster and start causing the trouble someone needs in your house. They both need to do better. That's what I would say. They both absolutely need to do better in this situation. I don't understand how we got here. I don't understand. Let's see what the Bree Hive has to say. We got Crystal Harris, welcome in, saying live in the hive. Hello and welcome in. Well, it says lies in the hives. I'm not lying. I'm just telling stories, okay? Josie B says they sound like they both suck. Yeah, that's where I'm at with this one. It sounds like they both need to get their lives together and they both suck in the situation. They both suck in the situation, and I don't know how they got here. Yeah. Do better OP and husband, and figure out how to sleep together, and the snoring, and it's just everything's a problem. The kids, the snoring, it all. Why are we even together? Why are you even together? Let's go ahead and jump into, I think, my last story. These ones were pretty quick tonight. Oh no, I got a couple more. I think I got two more. Yeah, we got two more stories. So if you guys haven't hit the like button, please do. It does help us out in the algorithm. And let's jump into the next story. We have, am I trifling for telling my future mother-in-law she can't move into our house just for a few months after the wedding? It's always a mother-in-law. We always have to include a story with a mother-in-law because they be the most trifling people in the world, okay? But let's see if this mother-in-law is actually a problem today. She might not be. She might be, but she might not be. So, am I trifling for telling my future mother-in-law she can't move into our house just for a few months after the wedding? So, I, 28 female, am getting married to my fiancé, 30 male, in October. We bought a small 2-bedroom house last year. Nothing fancy, but it's ours, and we've been slowly fixing it up. Last week, my future mother-in-law, 58 female, dropped a casual bomb on me. She plans on selling her condo after we get married and moving in with us for just a few months while she figures things out. And I'm putting quotes because she put quotes, okay? Her reasoning: it'll save me money for my next place. It'll be nice for you to have help around the house. I'm family now, so it just makes sense. The fact of you saying it'll save me money, but it won't save them money because you'll be in the way. You'll be in their house now and there won't be room. And you'll be running up their lights and their bills and everything. But you're saying it'll save you money. Did I volunteer to save you money, ma'am? No, I did not. So here's the problem. We only have 2 bedrooms, ours and a small office/guest room that I use to work from home 3 days a week. She's the type of person who rearranges my kitchen because it makes more sense her way, and she has opinions on literally everything. That sounds like it's going to be horrible. It's going to be horrible. I'm sorry, OP. I'm sorry. A few months in her vocabulary usually means until you force me to leave. This is in quotation marks. So I'm going to stay for a little while, but really you're going to have to kick me out in order for me to leave is what OP is saying. I told her politely at first that we love her, but we need to start our own marriage as just the 2 of us. She got offended and told my fiance I'm already trying to keep her son away from her. Oh God, we got a boy mom here. And that I am ungrateful for family. No, I am grateful for family. Just stay at your house. You have a condo. Why do you need to come to my house? And why do you need to save more money for your next place if you're selling a condo? Are you selling at a loss? Like, what's happening here? Now my fiance is torn. He agrees it would be stressful having her here, but he also doesn't want to start a fight with her. Meanwhile, she's acting like it's already decided and telling people she's moving in with us after the honeymoon. So, am I trifling for putting my foot down before this even happens? Sounds like it's happening regardless because she's still telling people that she's moving in. OP, my question is, what are you going to do to stop her? Because she's still telling people, even after you told her no, she's still telling people that she's definitely moving in. Just wait till the honeymoon's over. She'll be there, bags packed, household, and moving right in with you, sis. Moving right in. Let's see what the Reddit commenters had to say. First one says, yeah, I wouldn't be getting married until the fiance sorts out his mother. Good luck, sis, and congratulations, I guess. OP says, right, I love him, but if he can't set boundaries with her now, I can only imagine what the rest of our marriage would look like. Boundaries aren't optional here. Absolutely agree. OP, definitely stand up for yourself in that way. Stand up for yourself. I'm glad that she commented that. Someone says, that witch is going to check in and never check out. Nip that in the bud right now. Exactly. Like I said, whether OP is telling her or not, my girl is moving in because it sounds like her son is not telling her no, that she cannot move in. It sounds like the son is in full support of mommy dearest moving into the house. OP responds to that comment and says, that's what I'm scared of. She's going to turn our guest room into her permanent residence and suddenly my house becomes her house. Not happening. Absolutely, OP, stick to your guns on this one. Absolutely stick to your guns. Someone else comments and says, not trifling. He can either have a fight with her before she moves in, when he's trying to hopefully get her to leave, or with you if she somehow makes it in the door. There is a fight coming any way you look at it. Hopefully he picks the proactive one that will set his new marriage up for success. That is a good way to put it. Either you're going to fight with her before she gets in there, fight with her when she gets in there, or fight with your wife when she gets in there. Absolutely agree. Another commenter says, not trifling and time to reconsider the wedding. Seems like your future husband isn't willing to stand up to her. And you know how that can be, especially with the boy moms. They can be a big problem, big problem. And it sounds like this one is a big problem because you already told her, no, you can't come in here. You cannot move in here. And she's saying, watch me. She's saying, ha, 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 watch me move in, bro. Watch me move in. You have no say of where I live. She says you have no say of where I move in. Okay, let's see what the YouTube comments have to say. We got Mary Jane, really not Sarah. Hello and welcome in. Nice to have you back. Saying I just woke up. Well, you woke up to a lovely Reddit stream. Nice to have you back. We got Mary Jane saying, OMG, that it's the mother-in-law. Yeah, mother-in-law always. Mother-in-law is always the problem. And in this story, she was the problem. And also the fiance because he won't stand up to his own mother. Hey, Chelsea B says the audacity is next level. You tell that man to handle his mother. Exactly. It is up to him to get this under wraps for sure. Definitely agree with that. Crystal Harris says if she's starting this now in the house and she's not even there, it would only be worse if she actually lives there. Nope, exactly. She's going to be rearranging their whole house. It's going to be her house. She's going to save money buying a new place because she's never going to buy a new place. So yeah, you got to get that out of there now. Mary Jane says, mama boys aren't they always? Every time it's a mother-in-law story, it's always the man's mom. Why is that? What is up with the man's mom? Every single time. Okay. These glasses are hurting my ears. What the heck? Okay. We got one more story, y'all. One more story, and I saved this one for last. I don't know if this one goes with the theme, but it was just so shocking. The title was so shocking, I had to pick it. But yeah, I don't even know if it goes with the theme of today. So y'all definitely have to let me know. Does this go with what was the theme? You left me hanging was the theme. I asked you to do something when I needed you most, and you were not there. You left me hanging is the theme. So y'all let me know if this one goes with the theme. So we have, am I trifling for sending my wife an anonymous STD notification? Now, off the title, you sound trifling. You sound very trifling. But y'all gotta listen to the story and tell me if y'all think that he's the problem, she's the problem, or someone else is the problem. Definitely let me know in the chat box. So, am I trifling for sending my wife an anonymous STD notification? I, 32 male, have been married to my wife, Maria, 30 female, for 12 years. We married young, had ups and downs, but never anything like this. About a year ago, she volunteered for a 6-month adjacent deployment. When she came back, she began acting differently, including new clothes, hair, expensive nails. I knew it was a very traumatic experience, so I figured it was her processing this intense assignment. Okay, read. Then I noticed a guy, let's call him Alex, hearting every one of her social media posts. I didn't know him, which was unusual since we know everyone in each other's circle. She said they met on deployment and I should just let it go. Alex is going to be a problem. We know he's going to be a problem, okay? Fast forward to about 4 months ago when her team planned a reunion picnic and she got weird about who's going to be there and where it was. On the day, she got dolled up and I overheard her telling her friend how cute someone was. She left at 11 a.m. and never checked in. By 9 p.m., I used my Find My to see where she was, and she was at an Italian restaurant downtown, which was an odd spot to have a picnic. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I've never seen anyone have a picnic at an Italian restaurant. I think you have to be outside to have a picnic. So, strange. I have to say strange. So I did what any self-respecting human would do, and I drove to the restaurant. I don't know if we can call that self-respecting. Now, if you want to talk about a crash out, you did what any crash out would do. You drove to the restaurant, then yes, you are absolutely on the right track. We are all driving to that restaurant because we're all crashing out when your partner says that they're supposed to be at a picnic and they're at an Italian restaurant downtown, dolled up for 10 hours. I don't know if she was there for 10 hours, but why did you wait 10 hours to check where she was? That's weird. Maybe she went to the picnic first and then she went to the Italian restaurant. So he drove to the restaurant. She was there with Alex. After that, all the alarms are going off. I'm surprised it took this long for any alarms to go off for you, guy. OP. I didn't confront her. Why? Let's crash out. If we're going to drive to the restaurant, we're going to go all the way there. Let's fully crash out. I called my brother who told me about the ability to send anonymous STD notifications. It took a few days to figure out my next move. A few days later, I sent her one. She received a notification saying a partner tested positive for an STD and recommends that you get tested. She didn't say a word to me. She didn't say anything all day. Turns out she sent a disappearing iMessage to Alex and asked him if he gave her an STD. That was all I needed. I quietly got my affairs in order and told her I was moving out and filing for a divorce. She swears she never cheated. I'll never tell her how I knew. So, is he the trifling one in the situation for sending her the anonymous STD test? And so she still doesn't know that he's the one that actually sent it. I'm gonna say no. Genius move for him. Essentially, I don't know how he saw the disappearing message. Like, if it's disappearing, how could you still see it? I don't know how that works. I never sent a disappearing message, but yeah, he he got her good, and he got the information, all the information that he needed. She didn't even bring up to him that she could possibly have an STD, because then if she would have done that, she would have proven that she messed around, and she's still trying to play this card that she never cheated on him, which to me sounds like you cheated on him because you have an STD, and to get an STD, you got to do the S stuff, right? You got to do the S. Okay, or something close to it, right? First comment says, how would you know if she sent the disappearing text? That was my question. That was my question too. And someone comment says, you don't ask people you slept with if they have given you an STI. Let me see. Yeah, exactly. Those disappearing texts make it tough to have a solid proof. Even if something shady went down, it's basically their word against yours. He wasn't looking for courtroom proof. He was looking for confirmation of his own mind. If you know that your wife got an STD email like that and she's texting someone other than you, what the text says proves it's not really the point. I don't know if we can say, how would he know what the text message said, though? That's what I'm confused about. And I think that's what this person is confused about. And now people are arguing with him and not fixing our confusion. Okay, you guys are not fixing the confusion. Commenter says, turns out she sent Alex a disappearing message asking him if he'd given her STD in question marks. How do you know if she sent him a disappearing iMessage? Exactly. This is easy with make-believe. You can say /write, do anything, and it happened. It's not real. So people think that the story is not real. Can you see the disappearing messages, or do they just disappear? I don't know. I've never sent a disappearing message. No. Oh, you know what? They have the one on the iMessage where it kind of blurs and then you have to click on it and then it'll unblur it. Is that what he's talking about? I don't know. Let's see. Everyone's stuck on that one. And now people are saying the story is fake. I hope it's not fake. Everyone's saying it's fake now. I always get caught with one of these. Oh my gosh. I take that for things that never happened. Oh, maybe when you lie. Okay, everybody is saying it's a lie. The disappearing message messed up the story. Didn't even catch that. I read the story before we came on here, but I didn't read the, what do you call it? What did I read? I didn't read the comments. But yeah, everyone thinks it's fake now. But if it's not fake, let's just pretend like it's not and they did something to figure out what it said. Let's see here. Someone else says, no need to play games. You saw her at the restaurant. Either this Alex, you could simply have asked her how the day went. And when she omitted the restaurant, you had all you needed. Even if she didn't physically cheat, at the very least, she's dishonest. Then you get your ducks in a row and leave. Life is too short to play silly games like a STD hoax. Well, hopefully she'll still go to the doctor and hopefully she doesn't have an STD and then everything is solved. So let's go ahead and jump into the YouTube comments to see what y'all think. Assuming that the story is not fake, let's say he figured out how he can see the messages. I don't know how it works. But let's see. We got Mary Jane, really not Sarah. So your name is Sarah then? I always say just Mary Jane whenever I pull your name, but it's actually Sarah. Wait, is it Mary Jane really? I don't know. What is your name? Tell me. Just saying, oh, that's devious. It is devious, but it's smart. It's smart. Chelsea B says, maybe we should check in on the brother also and why he knows you can send anonymous STD notices. That's a good point. I didn't catch on to that. Why does the brother know that? Is he also playing this joke or is he having the STDs that he's passing around? Good point. YouTube comments are way better than these Reddit comments. They are not focusing on the plot here. Okay. Mary Jane says, I think it's just there's no love or trust in their relationship. Absolutely gotta let it go. I agree with you. Chelsea B cracking up. Mary Jane says, can you reply to the notification? Probably. If it's I don't know how it works. My phone is on TikTok, so I can't try it. But yeah, I don't know how it works. Mary Jane says, or he looked at her phone. Yeah, he looked at her phone, but how would he see the disappearing message? I just don't know how that one works. You could just say Mary Jane or MJ. Okay, makes sense. Okay, because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if you're Sarah or Mary Jane. Yeah, I don't know how the disappearing message works. Maybe they say this is not real. Oh, he's a liar. This Chat GPT. No one's explaining us. Gonna need more information on the disappearing iMessage. I'm gonna try it when I get off the live stream because now I'm confused. I am now confused. Thank you for everyone that is sending gifts on the TikTok, the roses on the TikTok. Definitely appreciate it. I'm kind of looking at two different screens, so I'm sorry if I'm not catching them, but definitely appreciate it. I don't know if it was real or not. I'm sorry, y'all, if I pulled another fake story. It didn't give me the notification that it was fake. And this story is only 2 hours old. So we'll see if it's still up tomorrow. And if he gives us an update on how he was able to see the disappearing message. So, and now maybe he meant like she deleted the message, but it was still like in her trash bin. I don't know. That's possible too. I have no idea. But anyways, y'all, that was all the stories that we have for today. So thank you for joining me here on the live stream to talk about leaving people hanging. And hopefully no one on the live stream has ever been in these situations. If you're on the replay, hopefully you have not been in these situations either. And make sure you guys are hitting the like button and the commenting down below if you have any thoughts on any of the stories. If you're watching on the replay, thank you for everyone that has participated in the live stream. And shout out to the people on TikTok that has been sending roses and things. I missed some of them because I'm on YouTube and TikTok and was kind of looking at two different screens and reading the stories. So definitely appreciate you guys for joining in the live. Appreciate YouTube as always joining in the live. And I will see y'all all on the next live stream. Bye.